Would it be weird if I started this review by saying you should watch a different review video? Okay, like, let me be honest with you. I don't think I am the best person or the most well-equipped person to review this book. It is so far out of my wheelhouse and I barely understood it. However, if you're looking for a video on if you should read this book or perhaps why somebody would or would not enjoy this book, then I think I can provide you with that information. Also, I'm reviewing all 6 of the Booker shortlisted books this week, so I'm still going to do a review about this book, but you've been warned. And speaking of how I'm going to be reviewing all of the Booker shortlisted books, as a reminder, this week's schedule is as follows. Day 1, Day 2, Day 3, Day 4, Day 5, Day 6, and Day 7 is rankings and winner predictions. So for this review, I think I'm going to structure it around what people I think would like this book, and also why I didn't, or at least why I struggled so much with it. I don't want to say I didn't like it, because there are elements of it that I did kind of like, despite it being so far out of my comfort zone and also not really understanding any of it. But hopefully by talking about those things, then you can discern whether this book is for you or not. However, if you're somebody that's already read this book and you're looking for like a nice review of what is in it, then I would suggest Fraser Simon's video, which I'm going to link in the description. So, should you read this book? I would start with considering if you are a person that likes mythic fiction books. This is not the only question you should ask yourself, but it is a very possibly most important question to ask yourself. So mythic fiction, at least the books that I know about, Circe I know is a big one that I've read by Madeline Miller. I did not like that book, but if you liked that book, then maybe you'd like this kind of genre. Also, if back in 2021, if you read the translated books of the Booker 2021 International long list. I did a really bad job at that sentence, but I'm not gonna try to fix it. From that long list, The Perfect Nine, I think is a little bit more, because that's like literary fiction, but it's mythic fiction as well. Mythic literary fiction, if you will. So a little bit closer, like a little baby step closer to what this is. So if you like those books or books like that, then this is something that maybe you could like. In addition to that, if you like that style but you want more obscurity, more symbolism, which actually really I think that mythic fiction in general already involves a lot of symbolism, but this is no exception. And also some serious attention to detail in the writing. Like, this book has such attention to detail, and it's very clear that it was very well thought out. Even I, who did not know what was going on, could tell. Also, if you don't mind like digging a little bit more into it, you might find yourself needing to search a few things in here to get the full idea. I mean, maybe people that are in the UK, which I think is where like the myths from here come from, maybe they would have an easier time with it. I didn't even consider looking things up until watching Fraser's video, and I was like, oh, that could have been smart. But if you don't mind that like search or that effort that you may have to put in to find that meaning, then, and not even that you don't mind it, but that's something that you enjoy, then I think that you could like this book. Now, I don't think that anyone would be able to get every message or portrayal that Garner put into Treacle Walker, but I think you could still gain a lot from it. The only reason I say that you probably couldn't get everything is because there's just a lot for it being such a small book. It's very dense is the word. That's the buzzword. Every time you hear somebody talk about this book and call it dense, take a shot. Oh, lastly, if you have any sort of background in reading fantasy books, if you like enjoy reading fantasy books, I've read a lot of them, and have that perspective when reading, then also I think that this could be a bit of an easier read with that background. There are just elements in here that would be more understandable if you've read fantasy, especially considering who Alan Garner is and what he's written in the past, the people that he's influenced, etc., etc., etc. If you want to learn more about that, then watch Kieran's video from Katie Books. But I will say, like, it doesn't super read like a fantasy or anything. It's just, it's got those elements in it, and that has been confirmed by people that did understand this book better than I did, and also have read more fantasy than I have. Which I guess brings me to why I struggled with this book, which is one, mythic fiction is my least favorite genre, and in fact, probably the only genre I would say that I dislike. I almost never pick up those books. The only times that I will do that is if it's for something else. So for example, if it's on the Booker long list / shortlist now, then I will pick it up. Or Circe I picked up because, well, first of all, it wasn't until Circe that I fully realized what it was that I didn't like in those books. And the reason why I picked up Circe was, one, I didn't know that I didn't like that yet, and two, it was a book club book. The more books that I have read in this genre, the more I realize that it's like a barrier to entry for me. Like, I could possibly enjoy some parts of it, but there's always gonna be this like disconnect. And not only that, I don't mind putting in extra work for reading books. I feel like I made that very clear in how much work I did for Books of Jacob. I learned so much while reading that book. Or even like small things like these, although I didn't do that research until after I had finished the book, I ended up like down a deep rabbit hole of learning about the history of that. But for this one, I just don't think it was as apparent to me what I should be looking up or that I should be, which is clear by the fact that I didn't even think about looking up anything while I was reading it. So that was a struggle. And also fantasy, I don't read a lot of it. I like it. It's just not a genre that I usually go for. Maybe like sci-fi fantasy, but I just don't have a lot of experience reading fantasy books. I haven't read a ton of them, despite the fact that I do enjoy the genre. Anyways, I hope that you enjoyed this review that was not really a review. Oh, I didn't say, that's right, Booker Frog. Do the Booker Frog and I recommend this book. I just realized that like for these videos, I haven't once said like what the hell this is. So for reviewing Booker books, I will use the Booker Frog to determine whether or not I would suggest the book to others to read. That means like suggest on a large scale. Like for most readers of literary fiction, I would recommend it because this little guy can ribbit. So 1 ribbit means I do recommend it. No ribbits means I don't recommend it. And 2 ribbits means like I super recommend it and I really want you to read it because I want to talk more about it. But would I give one to this book? It's gonna be a no. It's not really because of how much I struggled with it. I just think that the standard literary fiction reader, I think it's more likely than not that you would not get along with this book, or that you would either dislike it or struggle with it too much to really gain anything out of it, like me. But again, if you liked the things that I listed out in this video, then I feel like you should try reading this book. I just don't think it's gonna be for everyone, or even for the majority of literary fiction readers. Anyways, I hope this helped. You don't have to tell me if it didn't, or you can, I don't care. But what you should actually tell me is if you've read this book already, if you liked it, what you thought of it, if you think it's gonna win the prize. And in addition to that, you should definitely subscribe if you haven't, because we're only at the halfway point of these books. So I still have 3 books left to review from the Booker shortlist. And after all that, I will be ranking these books as well as the long listed books. So be sure to subscribe to join on that journey. Anyways, that's gonna do it for now. Thanks for watching. Bye.